This episode is brought to you by Unstoppable. Discover the inspiring true story about Anthony Robles, who defied every expectation to become a national wrestling champion in Unstoppable, a new original movie from Amazon MGM Studios and director William Goldenberg, evoking the excitement and camaraderie of classic sports dramas and thrilling wrestling matches. Unstoppable features an all-star ensemble cast, including Jarrell Jerome, Jennifer Lopez, Don Cheadle, Michael Pena, and Bobby Cannavale. Watch Unstoppable now, exclusively on Amazon Prime Video.
Kroger Delivery has one mission: to deliver the freshest food right to your door. That's why our drivers are pros. Our trucks are refrigerated. And when it comes to low prices, we always deliver. With $20 off your first order of $75 or more, there's no better time to get in on the action. Mission accomplished. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
Welcome to 4.0 to Pro, the Pickleball podcast that focuses on a single shot, tip, or strategy to improve your pickleball game with every single pocket-sized episode. Our goal is to make you better on the court every time you hear our voices.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of 4.0 to Pro, your pocket-sized pickleball podcast. We teach you a single shot or strategy every single episode. I'm Michael O'Neill here in Orlando, Florida at PodFest, joined by my bud Mircea Murariu, halfway through the APP tournament there in Boca Raton, Florida. What's up, brother?
I'm just hanging out, waiting to play tomorrow and the next day. I'm a third of the way through. Had singles yesterday and then have mixed and men's over the weekend. So looking forward to that. And just finished up the Boca Masters tournament last weekend, which was quite an experience. And we'll talk about that during our topic today.
Well, today that is the topic, Mircea. We're going to talk about tournaments. And you're obviously right in the middle of one now. How many tournaments do you have on the books for 2025, and how does that compare to a typical year in your tournament life?
I probably have less than normal, but I'm probably going to play the bulk of the APP tournaments. And then one of the newer things that I've done was last year I had the honor of being part of the National Pickleball League. So I was part of the Boca team, and there are 6 events. So I have those planned on top of the APP tournaments. And then I have a bunch of the Senior Pro Tour events that I'm going to be playing, and then Nationals and the US Open. I don't know exactly how many, but I would say it averages probably 2 per month. So roughly 24, give or take, 1 here or there. But they're fun. I love playing, love competing. And I imagine the bulk of our listeners also are playing tournaments, or at least thinking about playing tournaments, in addition to their obviously intentional rec play.
Yeah, in fact, I imagine that 2025 is going to be some people's first pickleball tournaments ever. And I'm not sure if you can rewind the clock, Mircea, back into those days, but I can tell you that one of the things that they didn't talk about, as I was a very new pickleball player, I think I'd been playing for about a month, and I did my first tournament. I think it was a singles tournament. And the part that was crazy, dude, is that no one talks about the nerves. And the nerves were crazy to me. I was looking at my hand while it was almost shaking while I was trying to hit these serves in. And you could have paid me $1 million and I could not hit the service box in my first 2 singles games. I think I faulted 27 times in my first 2 singles games. And I thought, that is crazy for something that obviously is automatic for most of us. The fact that the nerves got to me so badly, it's something that I don't know how high that level goes, but I'm curious about the last time you felt some nerve in a pickleball match.
You know, it's interesting you asked that question because while generally speaking, I really don't have a lot of nerves on the court in terms of, feeling like I'm clammy or sweaty or anxious. Usually at the very beginning of every tournament, I almost always have some sort of butterfly kind of effect, anxiety, whatever you want to call it. And I know that I'm engaged. And so for me, that's one of the things that I feel helps me. And I know that I'm really invested in the tournament, or I feel I'm going to do a little bit better. So that's one of the things that I look for and I anticipate and look forward to be honest.
Do you know what it reminds me of a little bit is I'm not the biggest baseball fan in the world, but when you watch World Series baseball and every single pitch matters, that's kind of what it reminds me when I play a pickleball tournament. It could be 8-5, standard rec game, and you really don't even think about it. You just get those 3 points and you go. It seems like in a tournament, you get to 8 and then there's brick walls all of a sudden that form. And you're like, why is it so hard to get these 3 points? And it's because our nerves get in the way. Have you found that there's anything you can do to mitigate those nerves? The one thing that I've found on my end anyway is having a routine, having a service routine, having a warm-up routine, having a morning routine, the stuff you eat, the normal things that you eat all the time. Don't just change it up when it's tournament time. If you have a protein shake, bring your blender with you and have the protein shake wherever you are. So don't start fueling your body with things that you've never fueled it with. And then the reason why we talk so much about obviously drilling and that kind of thing is you establish patterns with your play. And certainly in serve, if you have the exact same routine, no matter what your serve is, when things get kind of tense and weird, you can rely on that routine to not be quite as nervous. And that's kind of the thing that I do. But I'm curious about if you've found a way to anchor it on your own and what you do.
Absolutely, a routine is critical. And to back up a little bit, let's talk about the things you can control on the way to the tournament. All right. And the way I talk about competition in terms of coaching, I look at three things that are purely in control: your attitude, your effort, and then your preparation. So a lot of people talk about attitude and effort, and absolutely, but preparation is really the key. Have you prepared with your partner? Have you prepared physically? Have you prepared mentally? Have you gotten rest? Have you hydrated? Have you eaten the right things? So it really starts before the tournament. That's really when the bulk of your preparation is going to come in. Have you done the drilling? Have you done the intentional rec play? Have you practiced with your partner and discussed who's taking what ball? These are the things that you really need to focus on in order to maximize your ability to implement the strategies that you want, and also to minimize your anxiety and variability. We all have anxiety about things that we can't control or things that we're not sure about. But the more confident we are, the more sure we are in our own abilities, our partner's abilities, our communication, the less anxiety we'll have and the less nerves you will have. Some of this obviously comes with experience. I think we should talk a little bit about why we play tournaments. When you first signed up for a tournament, what were you looking to get out of it, Michael?
Well, I do think that, at least in my experience, the tournament version of me versus the rec play version of me, and I went from tennis to racquetball and then racquetball to pickleball. When I would play a racquetball tournament, I found a hidden sixth gear that I didn't know I had. And I was so different in terms of my willingness to sacrifice my body. You'd never see me diving in rec play, but in tournaments, I was on the dirt all the time because that's what you have to do. You get to that level. And I think that's part of it is I really love the elevation of what it does. And I mean, frankly, I raced BMX bikes, I raced snowboards, I raced mountain bikes, I raced cars, I played tournaments in tennis and in pickleball. And so I really enjoy that level of competition. And the other part is I'm very, very ADD. And the benefit of being cornered in a way really gets me hyper-focused much more than when I just play rec play. And it's something I very much enjoy. And I think that it's a true test of not only how good you are on that particular day, but where you stand in the grand scheme of things. Because when you factor tournament play in, it's another whole skill set that you have to master in addition to the shots. Every morning as I'm on my way to the pickleball court, I do two things. I get my caffeine, because you need your caffeine, and I have my protein shake. And in my protein shake, I throw a scoop of AG1. My one scoop of AG1 gets me a multivitamin, vitamin C, super greens, probiotic, and vitamin B complex, which gives me tons of energy. It's the easiest way for me to eat healthy on the run. The cool thing is it doesn't even have to be in a protein shake. It tastes fantastic on its own. Just mix it with a bit of filtered water, gulp it down, and you have all of the exact same benefits. So this new year, try AG1 for yourself. It's the perfect time to start a new healthy habit, and that's why we are partnering with AG1. AG1 is offering new subscribers a free $76 gift when you sign up. You'll get a welcome kit, a bottle of D3K2, and 5 free travel packs in your first box. So make sure you check out drinkag1.com/402p to get this offer. That's drinkag1, the number 1.com/402p to start your new year on a healthier note.
This episode is brought to you by Love Hurts. Kiwi Kwan has had quite a career, from childhood roles in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom and The Goonies to a recent Academy Award win for Everything Everywhere All at Once. But now Ki finally stars as a leading man in the film Love Hurts. Love Hurts is the perfect date night movie with its mix of over-the-top action, comedy, and a ton of heart. Love Hurts, only at theaters February 7th.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a benchmark, if you will. And it also challenges your game. And one thing I found really interesting as I started playing tournaments in pickleball, and I should clarify, I was mainly doubles. I was more successful at the beginning with singles because obviously having a background of tennis and squash, it translates much more easily to the singles game when you first start. But it took me some time, and you were still the master double. I was going to say the master, but you never really feel you master this game, which is part of the fun of it. But to get more comfortable at doubles, one of the things I found really interesting as I got better was how different it was in the first and second round versus the fourth, fifth, semis, finals. You can get away with a lot more in the first few rounds than you can in the semis, finals, and gold medal matches. And that was a really alluring part of the game to meet those challenges and figure out how my partner and I were able to meet those challenges. And that's one of the great things about playing tournaments is that it improves your level of skill and it improves your game. You will definitely see a lot more different types of styles, both in partner combinations and individual players. You will get to meet more people. You will get to see different venues. If you play the PPA or APP, you will be alongside the pros that you watch on YouTube. And that was one of the very alluring things to me, was to be able to go to tournaments and watch Ben and Anna Lee play in person. And I had already done that by virtue of Anna Lee, I should say, because she was one of the first people I met, when I was playing. I think I told the story about meeting her mom, Lee Waters, within the first week of playing. So I was able to see them more locally. But other players, the best men's player of all time right now is Ben Johns. And so I got a chance to go see him play, and he was playing on the next court in Rec. And so that's one of the alluring things about it as well. But the biggest thing is to be able to meet the challenges of multiple games throughout the day with progressive difficulty and to learn how to win when it's 8-all, 9-all. And it took me quite a long time to, again, I can't say master because that's not the case, but to win more consistently and to realize what are the skills that I need to work on, what are the shots that I need to hit to win more consistently at the top level. And I think that's what we're all kind of striving for, really, especially if you're listening to this pod. I mean, you want to get better, you want to challenge yourself, and that's what tournaments do.
Yeah, I was really curious when you first start the day and you've just come from your house or come from your hotel or whatever, and you get going, and it's nervy. You can be really nervy, and it takes you a little while to actually settle into your game. And then as you move through the bracket, I would say probably they fall off until you're in critical moments in some of the later round games where things get really tense. So I do like that evolution that has to happen between your game. And I think that's pretty interesting. Can you think about, as you were sort of that newer guy on tour, because I can tell you from my perspective, you get a real feeling of being included and a feeling of this is what I've been playing so much for. When you're at a tournament, you just feel like you're like, all right, let's see what this test does. And I think what I was going to ask you is rarely, unless you're a different kind of talent, when you sign up for your first tournament, assuming you're at the right level, there's no guarantee that you're going to go even a round or two. I was in my third senior pro tournament before I won a match, which means that my first two were 2 and done. I was first match, then consolation round, and then I was out. And the issue there is that you spend the money and you go, I hope this really worked. We hope it works. And if it doesn't, you got to just try and try again. That's the important part.
And obviously, it depends on what your attitude is and how you want to approach it. I was probably way over aggressive in terms of what I started out in terms of playing and what kind of tournaments I played. I mean, my first singles tournament was a few months after I started, and I played Open Pro. But I actually won a couple rounds, which was fun. I beat Jack Foster first round. That was my first singles pro match.
Wow.
He was quite a bit. He was younger. I think he was 17 at the time. And then, but I kind of jumped into senior pro as well. And the first senior pro singles tournament I played was in Punta Gorda, and I got a chance to play against Scott Moore, and I made it through the pool play. They had a little different format. And then in the semifinals, I played Paul Olin. And they were both just very kind and very pleasant. It was a pleasure to really interact with them and meet them. And actually, funny story, I found out when I first met Paul that we were actually in school at the same time, and he had gone to Navy and I had gone to Brown. And we overlapped a little bit, and we figured out that in his junior year, he played number one doubles, and my senior year, I played number one doubles. And we were talking about it, and we didn't recall playing each other, but we must have. And he said, I wonder who won. And I said, well, actually, I won. And he said, well, how do you know that? I was like, well, I don't remember the match at all, but I just know I won because I was undefeated my senior year. So he got a chuckle out of that. But back to the grind of the tournament. So the next tournament I played was the PPA, the first PPA tournament in Mesa. And in terms of the challenges, I played Dan Gernot first round, who ended up being my subsequent doubles partner, which is, again, another reason to play tournaments is that you meet people and find people that you vibe with that might be future partners, not just future partners, but lifelong friends like Dan has become. Anyway, I lose to Dan Gernot first round, and I lost in 3. And it was cold and I had excuses. And I was like, wow, I lost first round in my second event, or it was my second senior pro event. And I was like, I'm going to quit this game. I'm just terrible. Anyway, went through the back draw, won one, won another, played Dave Weinbach, won that one. I came all the way back through. I got to the gold medal match and I played Scott Moore, and I'm down 11-1, 6-0. And I was out there and I was just thinking, like, this is so cool. I'm out here, even though I was getting crushed and Scott was just smoking me. I was just thinking, I'm playing this legend, this guy I'm watching on YouTube, and is a legend of the game, arguably the most accomplished senior pro player. And I don't even think it's arguably. I mean, he definitely is the most accomplished senior pro player. And I just was really enjoying the moment. And I just started picking up my game. And I won in 3 games. And then I beat him 15-13 in the 15-point tiebreaker, and I won. So I actually won gold after losing first round. And the point is, back to your previous question about how you compensate or how you address your nerves, the way I did it was really focused on enjoying the experience. And that's what really we're talking about. We love to compete. We love our community. We love pickleball. And when those things just all come together, especially at a tournament and a high level, there's just nothing better. And when you go out there and you focus on the enjoyment of it, it will really decrease your nerves and allow you to play better. So that's one of the main techniques that I use to cut down my nerves, to be able to focus. I just really focus on the joy and focus on the gratitude of where I am.
Well, we've talked a lot about the big tournaments, the APP and the PPA and those kinds of things. It's local tournaments, which is where most people are going to get their start. In California, we have a sanctioning body called CAPA, which is the California Pickleball Association, I think. They put on the greatest tournaments, and they do it so well where they have a morning shift and an afternoon shift. So you know that you're going to be playing all of your matches within 3 hours between 9 and 12 or whatever in that particular bracket. It's so much better than what happens sometimes with some of the major events and the bigger tournaments where you get there at 8 o'clock, you might win a match and then have to wait 3 hours before your next match, which is really weird and very different than you would normally do playing pickleball, because now you're fully cooled down again and you've got to sort of get yourself back up for this game. And I think starting with a local series is a fantastic way to get your tournament feet wet.
When we talk about how people should choose their tournaments, especially if you have just started or you've never played a tournament, highly, highly recommend playing a local tournament. They're cheaper. You get to meet local people. Again, meeting partners that you may not know that become not only partners but friends. It's less expensive, allows you to kind of dip your toe in and see what aspect of it you like. It might be a format. And back to the format that I mentioned before, the pool play, what the APP has done, which I think is really good for a lot of skill age events, they have a round robin at the beginning of it, and people are put into pools. And then once you finish the round robin play, then you get put into a draw, and the pool play is used for seeding. So you actually get multiple matches. So you're guaranteed multiple matches, and you just don't have the 2 and out that we've all had in the past. So you get more play.
Yeah, I love that, because sometimes people get bumped where, like, if there's not enough people in the bracket next to them, they combine them. And that can be a bit of a bummer if it happens to be the better bracket that goes down to your not as good bracket. It does sometimes seem a little unfair. Where do you stand? And I'm not sure how it is at the pro level. I haven't experienced enough of those tournaments, but certainly in that that like 3.30 to 4.5 level, there is a ton of sandbagging that happens. And sandbagging basically means that you may be a 4.0 player, a 4.5 player, but you enter the 4.0 bracket and sometimes completely clean house. Like I remember playing in a singles tournament, and it was like a 4.0 tournament, and I got 3 points off the guy in 2 games. I'm like, bro, you're like a 5.0 singles player. And he just railed right through. And there's nothing you can do about it except be frustrated and go, you should definitely not be in this. But I don't know if with some of the tournaments, but sometimes there's not an automatic, like if you win this tournament, you automatically go to the next level. But I'm curious, like what you experienced as you were coming up.
I had a little bit of a different experience because I probably overestimated my ability, but it was also a different time. Pickleball hadn't exploded like it did. So I was able to play my first tournament was a local Moneyball tournament, and it was a great experience, and there weren't that many people. So we got a bunch of matches in. It was round robin. And I told you my next one was an open pro singles. So obviously I overestimated myself, but I won a couple rounds, and then I definitely did not continue to play open pro singles, and I chose the age appropriate venue, which was the senior pro singles, which fit me much better, obviously. I'm basically the opposite of a sandbagger because I always try to play up in every fashion. Like I started playing 5.0 doubles or senior pro doubles. I don't understand the mentality of sandbagging. It's just completely anti to everything that I believe, which is to challenge yourself to play the appropriate competition. Yes, it's fun to win. Is it really fun if you're just out there crushing people like 11-1, 11-2, and you really know that your skill level is far beyond anyone you're playing? I mean, I just don't think that that's what really we should be doing out there. And it's really the tournament director's responsibility. I will say that sometimes nationals and US Open, people are sort of funneled into divisions that are not appropriate. And sometimes it's because of their rating. Like when I first rated myself, I didn't know what I was doing. I just looked up at the, USAP website and I just chose 4.5. And actually when I started playing the 5.0 brackets, a bunch of the people were upset that I was playing those brackets because not that I was playing the brackets that when I had won, that I affected their rating.
They all went down.
Correct. Because they went down because I had underrated myself, but I literally just started. So I didn't know what I was doing, but I upset people the opposite way. That was the anti-sandbagger, but still people were upset because it was affecting their rating. Now people have at least, there's Duper, there's also UTR coming in. So there are multiple rating systems and they will have more data. Hopefully over the coming years, we will have more and more appropriate rated and appropriate skill level tournaments but it's really up to the tournament director. That's where really it falls.
So guys, this show is going to be a little different. I am at a conference. This is my 10th year speaking at this podcasting conference, and I have some obligations that I have to get to right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a part 2 of this particular show because it is a dense, kind of rich topic, and I think a lot of people want to do tournaments. So Absolutely. We are going to reconvene for part 2 of this episode. If you guys have any questions or anything you'd like us to cover in that next part, reach out to me at picklehelp.com and just send whatever. And maybe Mircea, you and I can integrate it into that next show. That would be really cool.
Yeah, next time we'll go over the ABCs a little bit more, how to find the tournaments, how to sign up, really the nuts and bolts of how to hydrate, how to prepare for energy and eating and warm up, etc. So we'll go through the ABCs a little bit more in detail next time.
Love it. Guys, you've now just listened to another episode of 4.0 to Pro. As always, pop on over to picklehelp.com if you'd like some info on our upcoming clinics and camps. Please follow us on Instagram at 4.0 to Pro, and that's underscores between the words. And at BrainsDoc, D-O-C, is Mircea. And Mircea, thank you, sir. Good luck tomorrow. Kick some booty at the APP Fort Lauderdale.
Thanks, my friend. I will do my best. That's all I can guarantee.
Don't do your best, do my best. No, guys, you've now just listened to another episode of 4.0 Pro. You guys keep on rocking. Enjoy the pickleball courts. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to 4.0 to Pro. For more tips, find us on Instagram at 4.0 to Pro. If you have a pickleball question, submit it at picklehelp.com. Now, get out there and dominate. But don't forget to have fun.